Today is my 1 year anniversary of starting weight loss medication, and I thought it would be quite useful to give a little bit of an update. I'm not out on one of my walks today. I'm at home doing this video because I tried to record one earlier. I was out with the dog and she was pulling me to and fro. So, change of plan, back here, and going to do the update.
I'm currently 17 stone and I'm 43, and I kind of want to lose weight, but I find it really hard. I'm very active, but something in me wants to just eat food all the time.
So I started in November 2024, and here we are, middle of November 2025, 1 year on. And I suppose the main thing people think about with taking Mounjaro or Wegovy or whatever it is weight loss. That is the primary factor. How much can you lose in X amount of time? Yada, yada, yada. And that was primarily my aim. I also wanted to see whether it would help solve or fix some issues I had around eating. So I've mentioned previously that I would eat when I was emotional, and that could be angry, sad, who knows, even happy. Eating would be my go-to for trying to solve them or make me feel better, but generally it would be completely opposite. So whatever it was, I would eat food and I'd feel okay for a minute or two and then feel rubbish. And it's a repeating cycle. And obviously that kind of creeps in as well into just daily life of having breakfast, lunch, dinner, large portions, snacking in between, and it's just habitual. So I think at my heaviest I've been around 17.5 stone, but when I started Mounjaro I was dead on 17 stone, so that's 238 pounds. Fast forward a year and I am 12 stone 2 pounds, so that's 170 pounds, meaning I lost 68 pounds over that time. The fact is I lost most of that in the first 7 months, I reckon. And I haven't really changed any weight since the end of August. So skip forward 2.5 months or so, and I'm at the same weight. But that has been intentional. If you watch my previous videos, you'll see I've talked about maintaining. I've talked about stepping down my dosage. So I'd got up to 12.5 milligrams dosage at the top. Scaled it back down to 7.5. But even then, I had a little blip a few weeks ago. Decided to go up to 10 milligrams for a couple of weeks to kind of sort myself out, as I think it coincided with a bit of a rough patch for me emotionally and physically, where I was ill and all those kind of things, and I just needed that extra bit of help. So I guess what I'm trying to cut to is that yes, you can lose weight and it is brilliant for it. It was so good losing weight, but here I am a year later looking back, and am I fixed? No, I'm not. I've still got those issues. They need something else to solve them. But do you know what? Losing weight as and being a bit healthier has kind of helped free up a tiny little bit more space in my brain. So as well as thinking about, all these other things that go on in life that we all have to deal with, thinking about my weight and my health has been something that I've been able to kind of tick off and almost take a bit of a backseat. Initially, I was really laser focused on Mounjaro, on losing weight, how much I was losing, how I was doing it, and that was fine for that period of time. Then once you kind of got adjusted to it, I didn't have to think about it as much, and maybe that's meant a couple of bad habits have slipped back in. Maybe I'm snacking a little bit more, but what I do is I just kind of have a bit of a course correction. I realise that I'm still weighing myself every week, and realising that yes, a few weeks ago I'd put on a few pounds, and I've managed to kind of reel that in a little bit and take it back. So a year on, I'm really happy. Still on Manjaro. Was kind of hoping that maybe by a year I'd be able to phase off it, but as I said, the food noise is still there. Those emotional triggers are still there. Those kind of physical triggers are still there, and I will keep trying to educate myself about them. But for the moment, do you know what? I don't have to solve every single problem that comes my way, but these weight loss medications have been a great tool for me. Let's have a look at some of the positives that I've had. Now, I've said about the weight loss, 68 pounds, almost 5 stone is pretty great. And I'm sitting here feeling pretty comfortable in my body, in my shape and my size. I don't feel as judged as I used to. I'm able to kind of get clothes off the rail and pick them off. So whereas before I was getting, double XLs, maybe even triple XLs in certain stuff, depending on the sizing. Now I'm kind of happy wearing a medium in most instances, but there are a few kind of shops where a medium is actually a bit snug, and then I'll wear a large. I think this is probably a large at the moment, and there's still plenty of space in there. So it's been great. It's been great for that. But the other factors are just ignoring weight. Weight is the most easiest thing to measure, but it's all the kind of little health implications that, looking back, I've been able to see that I've achieved. So I have some smart scales. I've had them all the time, and they track onto my phone, and I'm really able to map out various different things. Like my weight, but my BMI, how many calories are required, my bone density, all the weird stuff I don't actually need, but there are some interesting ones. So I'm going to pop up some of the charts up here and have a little chat about them. So first up is weight loss. As you can see, really big loss, and like at the beginning, and then it narrows down, and it plateaus. And the fact is, I am lighter, so I have actually got less of that easy weight to shift. I've got less fat. I require less calories to keep functioning, and it will take a lot more effort to burn off that weight. Now here's another one. This is my BMR. So basically that's the amount of calories that are required to keep my body functioning. So at the start it was 1,866 calories. So, and that's just me not moving at all during the day, literally not moving. That's how many calories I would have to eat to maintain my body weight. Now that's not a huge amount, and I was still, when did I say not a huge amount? It isn't, but I was basically making up a lot more with food and all those kind of things. So I was definitely eating more than 1,800 calories a day. When I started taking Manjaro, I went on a calorie controlled diet and was trying to eat around 1,500 calories a day, and that's obviously kind of helped me lose that weight. I stopped tracking after a few months. I felt pretty comfortable in it, and it was just taking a little bit too much of my time to do that. So as I said, I've kind of slipped a few bits, but my BMR now is 1608, so 1,608 calories. So actually, if I went back on that calorie controlled diet for 1,500 calories, it probably wouldn't do a huge amount unless I bolstered up with exercise. And that's probably one of the bigger lessons, is that now if I want to lose weight, if I want to, I don't really want to, I'm quite happy with where I am, but if I want to increase that kind of metabolism and allow myself to be able to eat a little bit more food, then I'm going to have to supplement that with more exercise, which is what I'm planning to do. But a byproduct of that is that I will increase muscle mass, and that should help burn off fat and those kind of things as well. You can get quite technical into it, and I'm not one to do that, so I'm kind of ignoring it and knowing what I'm eating and just trying to eat okay, and that's all we can really ask for. And finally, the one thing that I was pretty surprised at with my smart scales is visceral fat. So that is the fat around your internal organs, and I think we all know that doesn't sound very good, having it on there. So when they give you a rating, it's basically like 1 to 59 is the official medical kind of rating for your visceral fat levels. And I started at a scale of 17, so it's probably quite healthy to look at these. Basically, a high range is 13 to 59. That's where you've got an excess of fat, and that is linked to that can link to high blood pressure, heart disease, and type 2 diabetes, which I do not want. I do not want those things. I've managed to get it back down now to a visceral fat level of 8, so the healthy range is 1 to 12, and that basically means I'm in a good level and I'm happy. So that isn't something that weight can always indicate, but I'm quite happy that these the smart scales, which they work by sending electrical pulses through your body, they've indicated that I am healthier than I was before. My body fat has gone down from 35.8% down to 26.1%. My BMI was 35.2, which is obese, and now it's 25.2, which annoyingly it's still technically overweight. I'm 0.2 overweight, and likewise the body fat indicates that I'm still got a body fat percentage of being obese. But again, I've said about how we're all individuals, and these measurements on their own don't really mean anything. They're calculations to kind of do it around the broad population, but I run a lot. I feel pretty fit. I'm quite happy with those like visceral fat ratings and things like that. But the calculations that go for body fat, the calculations that go on for your BMI and those kind of things, I take them with a pinch of salt. Obviously, if they're really high, then it is something that I want to keep an eye on. But I'm pretty happy with where I am on that BMI and on that body fat level. Maybe body fat I've got some wobbly bits still, but who hasn't? And that is somewhere where, again, with the increased exercise, I can improve that, and doing weights and those kind of things will improve it as well. So thinking about anything that I would do differently, I'm going to say nothing. Do you know what? I'm going to say nothing, because we're a year later. I can't go back in time and change things. It's just a really, really unhealthy way of thinking, because you just beat yourself up about it. And I could say that, I should have done, more core exercises and done more weights. I know that, and I haven't done it. And I've banged on about I should be doing that, and I haven't done it. So there's going to be a reason why I haven't done that. And I know the reason is that I've been prioritising basically my health and being able to have some time to actually just rest and recover after work, family, pets, other kind of engagements and things. So I could say do more weights. I could say always, track your food like all the time. But where's the fun in that? You got to keep living. And I think I really, really got fixated on the beginning about my weight, what I was eating, and it kind of became my conversation. That was my personality. My character was, I'm losing weight, I've not lost weight, and it's nice to not be thinking about that anymore. I just take my jab. I am thinking a little bit more about what I'm eating, and I'm weighing myself every week, and that's all I really need to do, and that just frees up so much more space in my head and in my life to think about all the other things. So don't get fixated on weight loss. Don't get fixated on how much other people have lost. I was like, looking at my numbers here, I've lost 68 pounds. Brilliant. I watch other people's videos and some of them have lost, 100 pounds or whatever it is. And I'm like, oh, does that make me a failure? But I'm like, no. I obviously wanted to get somewhere, and I feel like I've achieved that for the moment. So what's the next year going to look like? I don't know. I haven't got a clue. I've still got a lot of stuff going on personally. Hopefully, some of that will be resolved. But being on Manjaro has helped free up that space in my brain and in my life to not be worrying about food as much as I was before, and to not be constantly craving food and wanting to stuff my face. If I can avoid doing that for the next year, again, that would be fantastic. But thinking back to those health benefits I've already had, it's great that I'm able to, be healthier as I'm in my mid-40s. Going to be 45 in December. So it's that time of life where I do need to be thinking about my health, because you hear about a lot of people that have problems, and hopefully by doing something like this I'm not going to say avoid it, because these things happen, but it would be nice to know that I'm doing my bit to be healthy and be active and do all the things that clinical people tell you to do. So let's see. So I won't have as many kind of weight updates on here, unless something crazy happens. But I still want to keep vlogging, so maybe some more running vlogs will be happening. But I'll try and see how I can keep this channel interesting without boring you. But if you're still enjoying weight loss kind of content and things, then do let me know, because that will spur me on. Or if you've got any questions or anything, or you've got any topics that you think, oh, I'd quite like to hear about that, and maybe he knows what he's talking about. I don't always know what I'm talking about, but sometimes I do. Anyway, whatever's happening, have a great time, and I'll catch you later. Bye.